Right. I think a lot of people now are on some sort of real discovery and some real journey and stuff, and it's amazing to see you know.
Welcome to Bigger Than the Hustle podcast, where I bring you real conversations with entrepreneurs about how they live their lives outside their business. We deep dive into energies, motivations, disciplines, habits, and a lot of other things that make them successful in their life, which in turn allow them to be successful in their business. Now, today I've got a real interesting guy, someone who's been on, many different journeys, and I would say he's a passion entrepreneur. He lives his life with purpose, and he lives his life what ethically works for him. From being, one of the top DJs in the clubs in London, through to a personal trainer, now, a top chef in restaurants and stuff. And he really pushes that ethical message. So I'm not going to go too much into it because we will go into it in this conversation, but I'm going to hand over to Harj. Hey, Harj, how's it going?
Hey, Bhavik, how you doing, man? Thank you for having us on.
Hey?
Thank you for having us on. So really looking forward to it.
Not at all. So I'm just going to hand over to you. You can just give a brief insight to the people that are listening about yourself, and then we'll sort of go into the conversation.
Okay, brief insight. Wow, where do I begin? Okay, born and bred in the Midlands, Leicester. I'm from a generation where we only had 3 channels, so that will give you a bit of a insight into my age. Academia was never really my strong thing at school. The only things that I kind of gravitated towards were sports, music, and food. And I guess in a snapshot, I've been blessed, would I say, or I've been there's been certain things that have happened in my life that have allowed me to turn my passion into work. And so the 3 things were sports, did personal training, so that was amazing. Music, did the whole DJing thing back in London back in the day, which allowed me to make a career out of that. And now in my later years, unintentionally, I've fallen into the chefing world. So everything I've kind of done, I guess I've done it on my terms. I haven't had any kind of training in this kind of, but I've always known and had that belief that things were always going to be more than okay. And it's an amazing journey that I'm on. I'm learning every day. I still make mistakes like we all do every day. Hopefully, if this podcast or whatever Bhavik's doing kind of resonates with even one person every single day, you know what? That's one person that you've potentially reached out to and made some sort of change or resonated with them in some shape, way, or form. So hopefully, once you've gone through this old man's podcast, there might be something that might make you, at the very least, smile.
There will be. Let's step back a few years. Like you said, you've been through a few different journeys with your passions, your entrepreneurial sort of spirit. I know you probably never saw yourself like that. It was more, I enjoy doing this, and therefore I'm going to put my soul, my energy into it. And then the byproduct is people enjoy it. And byproduct is I earn money from it. And byproduct is, I can move a few people in the right direction. But I'm sure it was never for that. It's more what fills me up, what fills my cup up, and then what makes me feel alive. Because when I feel alive, I know the energy I give out, other people feel that, and I can turn to that. So if we step into the first thing, so you went into music first, into the DJing and the club scene. Then you stepped into the personal training side, and then you stepped in chef, right? So as you were first, before it turned into where people were paying you for this kind of thing, what kind of things were going through your head where you're like, I enjoy this, I'm just going to work on this? What kind of things were happening before you stepped into the arena of actually being paid for this?
I guess it was just I think for me, you know, like I said, I mean, I was born and bred in the Midlands, Leicester, and I mean, we're pretty much of the same age, Bhavik, anyway, you know, so we're from a certain generation or whatever and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think growing up, I don't know, music was a massive, it was a massive, I don't know, it was a massive part of my DNA, and it always has been and stuff, you know, and for everyone's, you know, they've got a different reason as to what music does for them and stuff. But for me, it was just such a big part of my life. And like you said, I never envisaged that, oh, wow, okay, when I grow up, I'm going to make a living out of this and stuff, you know. And it wasn't until leaving, I think I left in 95, I left Leicester to go uni in Luton. But that was my get out of jail card, for want of a better word, you know, because I even knew when I applied to Luton that I was kind of kidding myself. I was like, academia is not my thing. But it was like, I think I was 21, 22 at the time. And yeah, I just wanted to leave. Well, not leave home, but I just thought there's a bigger picture out there, and there's a bigger pond to swim in, you know. And so, yeah, so left Luton, and 6 months into it, I was just like, I can't do this shit. I'm just kidding myself. And I literally just upsticked and moved to London and stuff. And obviously when I moved to London, it was like, holy shit. It was just like, I was like a rabbit in headlights. I'm not going to lie, you know, in every possible way. Like, it was just an assault on you, just sort of, you know, just visually, just in spiritually, aesthetically, everything. It just kind of, it was weird. It was almost kind of like there was like filters that had got taken off, and you're like, oh my God, okay, there is just so much more to than what I've ever been used to or come across in Leicester. And then I think, yeah, for me, like I said, music was a big part of me growing up, and it always has been and always will be. And then I always enjoyed music and started going out clubbing in London and stuff. And I remember, clear as day, standing there, and I'd never DJ'd. I didn't even have a pair of decks, but I stood there and I was like, I could fucking do that. I knew it. You know what I mean? And I went out, and if someone says, but what do you mean? What do you mean? It's weird because, I don't know, you know, sometimes when there's something inside you that stirs, and kind of every single fiber of your being, every single cell says, I know I can do that, and I'm not just going to do it to take part, but I'm going to absolutely smash the granny out of it,
yeah.
You know. And so that for me was like, yeah, that kind of really fed that desire to kind of DJ and stuff, and going clubbing. I was just standing there and was like, I can do that. I know I can do that. Why can't I do that? Why?
And I think it's funny you say that, because when you were looking up, or when you were watching the DJ or listening to music, or listening, you know, like you know, a lot of people would have been in similar situations, different things. So it's like, even with this podcast, I've been watching podcasts for a long time.
Yeah.
And I've been watching it with different eyes. What I mean by that is that I knew I was taking things in to learn, but it's more a case of, how are they doing this? Let me see how they're shaping this, and let me see how I can then put my fingerprint on it, because I know I want to do something like this. So when you went to a club, you know, a lot of people go out drinking, they go out, you know, partying, seeing friends, socializing. But when you then have something in you where you're like, I'm watching, I'm taking stuff in that people are not even noticing here, you know, to allow you to step onto that journey, to say, actually, you know what, I've seen all this, and now I can then do that with my stamp, which will be this. And it's having that, I think it's having the belief of confidence in yourself to say, you know what, first of all, I think it's possible. Secondly, you know, I'm not going to be perfect, but I know I can step into this, and I know I'm willing to learn. And I know, you know, when you know that you wake up and you think about it, and you go to sleep and you think about it, and it's like, there's nothing else calling you apart from this. And like I said, there was no, and at the point, I'm sure there was not a big scene in terms of, you know, where you see DJs these days in Las Vegas, and, you know, like they're really like celebrities, right? Again, it's like footballers back in the day. There was no celebrity culture. It was guys who wanted to kick a ball. These guys wanted to play music, just like you. You wanted to play music, and you wanted to enjoy that time. And whatever happened from there happens. You know, I think in life now, there's so much celebrity culture in a lot of things. And people want to do things for that, you know, the Instagram likes and
the celebrity,
right? But when you take that step back and say, do you know what? Do I actually want to do this because I enjoy it and I'll be good at it and I can serve the world in my way? Or do I want to do it for the, the veneer of the likes and the plastic life of, the clicks and shares?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, for me, for me, it was always about, it was never a case of, like you said, I mean, we came from this sort of,
pre-Google days, right? Pre-Google days.
Jesus Christ, pre a lot, pre-MTV, pre-Channel 4, pre-mobiles. How far back do you want to go? Do you know what I mean? So, and I think like when you said about it, we kind of, I think we were born at a certain point in time where we've kind of had the best of both. We've had that grounding and in simpler times, but then we've kind of grown up in our later years into this technology era, or whatever you want to call it and stuff. But for me, it was never a case of, when I got into DJing, it was never a case of, all right, I want to make a living out of this, or, I kind of, we want to do this for Instagram or anything. The only social media platform we had back then, if I'm not mistaken, would have been MySpace. Yeah, exactly. And that was, I'm pretty sure there's the founder, Tom, he's the only one on MySpace that's just out there on his own now. So, yes, it was never a case of, I'm doing this for any other reason other than I just want to do it for myself.
Yeah.
And
anyone else looking at a journey that they're in right now, where it's just a passion project, it's something that they want to enjoy, and they think they'll be quite good at it for the reason that other people may benefit, other people might serve other people in a certain way. Whether that be photography, whether that be baking, whether that be cutting grass, whatever it is, everyone's got their own thing within them. And that's what the world needs to see, right? They need to see the people living their truth. And when people live their truth, they can only live with honesty. And when they live with honesty, you only see the best of them. And when you only see the best of them, it serves everyone around them well, just like you, just like me. It's and how would you explain to someone that was looking to do that, to say, actually, you know what, just concentrate on being the best version of yourself within what you're doing? Because that's exactly what you did, right? And that stepped you up to probably one of the top tables on DJing at some point, in London.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure that was never the aim. So what do you think what mindset was it that you were in that allowed you to push up that far?
Wow, okay. I mean, obviously that's going back a few years as well. I think, we've got to kind of, at the end of the day, I think we also have to take into account sort of, the times were different back then as well. Do you know what I mean? Like nowadays, it's just, the competition for everything and just this real dog-eat-dog world, and just, it's just every man for himself. It's just kind of, for me, it's never really been something that I'm kind of like, I ever want to buy into, or kind of, I guess sort of, even in any of my careers, thought I'm going to kind of kick everyone out of the way to get to where I need to and stuff. I don't know, for me, I've always been a great believer in, I think if whatever you're going to do, like you said, whatever passion you have, if your sole purpose is to kind of, right, okay, I want to do this, I want to make a living out of it, you're probably not setting yourself up for I wouldn't say kind of like disappointment or a fall, but that shouldn't be the driving force as to why you want to do it. First and foremost, if there's something that you're passionate about, just do it because you're passionate about it. And if you do it with real honesty and kind of you put your all into it, and that actually, you know what, okay, this is my passion, and if this is just my passion, I'm happy with that. But if it kind of allows me to make an extra income out of it, or turn it into a career, then that's a bonus. But for me, I've always believed that just do what you're doing, just do it, and let people buy into that passion and stuff. And that's where, something will resonate with people. I've never been a good salesman. I'll be honest with you. I couldn't probably sell snow to Eskimos. That's just not my thing. It was just that kind of constant sell. So for me, it was always a case of, right, okay, if someone digs what I do, then great. But if they don't, it's not going to change my world in the grand scheme of things.
And I think from what you just said there's two mindsets that we've talked about here. So your mindset was pull. So what I mean by that, I'll just be the best I can, and people will be attracted to me or magnetized to me, or they'll come towards me and ask me.
Or not, yeah.
You know, the other side is push, where you've got some personalities which are push. So what is, I'm going out and I'm going to go and get what I want to get, and I'm going to do it this way. And, you know, I'm going to be, you know, whichever way it is, because that's their personality serves them in that way, right?
Absolutely.
So, and obviously everyone, you know, you've got the introverted, you've got the ambiverts, you've got the extroverts, you know, everyone works in the same way. Personally, like yourself, I'd say I'm more of an ambivert, whereas in my private time, I'm introverted. In social occasions, I'm probably more extrovert, but I can switch between it when and I've learned that because my whole life I've been an introvert, and only when I went through a crisis in my time, I realized I first come out of my shell, leaving Leicester. So you mentioned earlier when you left Leicester and you opened your eyes, going out of your home environment really opened your eyes, and you learn about yourself so much when you're in that situation, right? So when I left Leicester and I went to Leeds, I remember that made me, 3 years being at university, being around different people, being on my own, no parents, no one really I knew, and being in that environment really helped me, shape me, because you standing on your own 2 feet and you say, this is me, this is how you work shit out. And when you come out the other side, it's then hard coming back because nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. And then when your eyes when your perspective is widened with different people, different conversations, different experiences, and then when you come back and everything's still like that, you're like, what am I doing here? Do you know what I mean? And then it's like a case of either I make it work, so I try and stretch people around me, or I leave. And I think that's the only sort of, two ways that can happen.
I think trying to change people around you, I mean, I've just found that can be a little bit, I don't want to sound like I don't give a shit, because I do. It can be a little bit hard work and stuff. And sometimes, I don't know, I think my patience or my tolerance or kind of like, sometimes I forget that actually I've been out there, kind of stepped into the world and kind of seen a little bit more. And I kind of hold people up to that and kind of go, why are you not seeing it? Why are you not seeing it? Do you know what I mean? And it's like you said, it's kind of, some people will kind of gravitate towards that and others won't and stuff. But I think we all kind of like that comfort. We all kind of like that safety net, and, we all kind of like that sort of thinking that we're putting in 100% and stuff. And it's like, you're not. You're not at all. It's like you really, and this is me included, like anyone else, it's like you need to really kind of, don't just stand up the edge, right? Really take, be prepared to jump off and drown. You have to. This is what you did when you went to Leeds and stuff. Like you said, you've got no family, you've got no friends there. You have to support yourself. You have to do everything. And it's like, you learn so much about yourself, but we're kind of like, a lot of people are just, they talk about it, but they're going to do very little to kind of go, actually, let's kind of do this talk. I've been talking the talk, let's now walk the walk and stuff.
And I think, I think where we have to be quite respectful in terms of when we look at other people's journeys and when we talk to people, is that we've been given, first of all, the ability to choose the way we want to live our lives, right? Some people are being pushed into a situation, maybe their life or maybe their family life isn't that great, So it's like, well, I'm making choices for survival as opposed to actually I'm comfortable and I want to move to the edge, right? Yeah. But I know for a fact, for even myself, it's only when I push myself to the edge of that comfort zone do I really feel life, do I actually sense what life is about, And it's when you're at the edge, I think that's when you sense yourself as a true person and you know what you're capable of. I think a lot of people don't give respect to themselves to say how much capability they have and how much strength they really have within them. I think, it's been almost like drilled out of them by society, by the people around them, by school, by, and it's only when you step out of that to drown that noise out and say, actually, I'm going to just build it the way I want to build it. Do you realize that actually, those people, a lot of the time, the conversations they're having you is because they're fearful within their own life and they want to keep you down with them as well.
Oh, no, of course it is. I think what the people that you have around you can kind of, you can feed into their kind of like negative energy, and the energy that they put onto you might not be directly and stuff, but before you know it, you kind of one day you kind of stand and look around and you kind of think, oh my God, this person saps this out of me, this person saps this. And before you know, you could be quite a positive person, but because you're taking on all this energy from all these other people that, they just either want to moan or don't do anything, don't necessarily want to do anything, or just kind of, just plodding through life, it can impact you in more ways than you can realize, But one thing I have noticed over the years, there seems to be a shift on this planet with a lot of people kind of, for want of a better word, kind of waking up and going, hold on a second, there's, what is it that's making you, what is it that I want to do? What's going to make me happy and stuff? Or how can I pursue this? How can I surround myself with those kind of things and stuff? But I think a lot of people now are on some sort of real discovery and some real journey and stuff, and it's amazing to see. I guess for me, one of the, not that it should hold you back, but for me, I don't have any commitments in the sense as in I'm not married, I don't have any children or anything like that. So as an outsider looking in, it's easy for someone to kind of go, well, you don't have to do this, you don't have a family, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have this. You know what? We've been, as a species and as a civilization, we've got here somehow with families and stuff like that. So to me, of course, it's easy for me to say, but for me, that's an easy out for a lot of people as well. Oh, I've got this, I can do it. And it's like, there's absolutely no reason. I mean, that should, in this day and age, hold you back. Because if you think about it, like, if you look at our parents' generation, Bhavik, when they came over and stuff, they had nothing.
Yeah.
When I mean nothing, like they had nothing. My parents got married. My dad was 17, my mom was 18. They look like the most unhappiest couple on this planet when you see their pictures, And if they, like a lot of that generation, if they can come over here with very minimum English, with hardly a penny in their pocket, and they can do what they did. They had a mortgage, they brought up children, they held down jobs, they did all this. Really, in this day and age, people really, really shouldn't have an excuse for like, do you know what I mean, getting shit done.
Yeah. And I think, you just went into the, our parents' journey, and that, I have, for that generation, I know I was meant to be born in this generation, because I don't think I was trying to be born in that generation. You know what I mean? So I am thankful to the universe. They left me a generation later.
Yes.
And on the production line of energy, they probably say, this guy's not built yet. Let's
can't quite do that yet.
Yeah, let's leave it for the next generation, right? Because I see, like you said, both our parents. My dad came from India, my mom came from Africa. They came here, and even just hearing their stories about how they live. My dad was saying someplace they lived when they first came over, they didn't have a bathroom. They had to go to the swimming bath to go to the toilet and stuff like that, right? And I was like, that's just even thinking about it, right? And he goes, you could go into a shop and they would just say, I don't want to serve you because you're a packy, now leave. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, and he goes, you just had to leave. You just had to deal with, because you are in a country which wasn't seen as yours. You are mostly not wanted by the people locally that were around you, and you just had to keep your head down and take the shit. Do you know what I mean? And then you just keep taking it head down, graph, because he goes, really, for 2 years, he goes, I question myself every day. Every day, why am I here? I don't know. We had a fairly good life in Africa. Why are we here? Because what kept me here was that I knew going back means our life would never be anything more than it was.
Yeah.
And by coming and by dealing with this shit, we've got so much more opportunities, not for us, but for the people that are coming after us, for the next generation. And I am thankful and grateful and blessed to have my parents that went through that shit. Like, just like your parents, I don't even know how my mum and dad married, to be fair. Like, they're just bipolar opposite people, do you understand? And I almost think that they were put together to have us.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it, dude. That was pretty much it. I mean, if you ask your parents, you know, the funny thing is, you're touching on that. I spoke with my mum like literally a couple of weeks ago and stuff, and I was just like, Mom, I see this picture of you guys when you got married. Honest to God, I've never seen like two people that are so unhappy is beyond a joke. And like you're saying, you know, you think your parents got put together just to kind of give birth to this generation stuff. Dude, it's just like, I said to my mum, oh, right, okay, so cool. So, you know, did you like chat and stuff? Honest to God about it, she said it was literally like, you know, in East is East.
Yeah.
You know, where the old son, he doesn't see his wife until he's going to marry her, and then he's like off. That's pretty much what that generation had and stuff. And like you said, you know, like, thank you. I don't even think that really comes close to like what we probably want to say to our parents. Or I think we could spend the rest of our lives kind of like doing shit to try and show them, and even kind of, you know, any form of group. But it's like, dude, we will never, like, generations after that, we will never have any comprehension as to what they went through and stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, like our generation back when we were growing up, we went through racism. Do you know what I mean? Which anybody coming in, you know, racism comes in every shape, color, size, and whatever and stuff. Yeah. But to go through what they went through, it was just like, oh my God. So for me, I'm old school in that sense, as in like, you know, when I hear people like, you know, oh, I can't do this, it's just like, fuck, I haven't got time. Really? Do you know what I mean? It's like, really, that's what is, you know, but obviously it's of this generation and it's relative to them. And so I'm not anyone that's going to say, yeah, this is, you know, you're right or wrong, or it's not appropriate or relevant or whatever and stuff. But for me, I'm just like, I don't know, man. I just always when I'm doing something, and like, no matter how difficult it is or how easy it is, I always think back of if I was, whatever it is that I want to do now, what would it have been like to have done back in my parents' generation? Yeah. And if I could do it back then, there's no reason why I can't do it now.
100%. And it's like, you know, we're standing on the shoulders of monsters. You know, the foundation
oh my God.
Given, do you understand? The foundation we've been given, we have no reason to ever say life is tough. Do you know what I mean? And for us, it's more mental struggle, right? We all go through more mental struggle than physical struggle. They went through physical struggle and mental struggle, both at the same time, right? So now the way, you know, coming off that in terms of my parents, it's like, I feel it's my duty for my generation to now live with choices and live to be the best version of ourselves that the world needs to see. You know, our parents went through what they went through so that we could have those choices, right? And if we then, if we don't actually use that energy to say, actually, how am I being the happiest I can be? Because I know if I'm happy, everyone around me is happy because there's a happy energy around me. If I'm going to sit and do some job that I'm miserable in, and I come home and I'm miserable, and everyone around me is miserable because I'm miserable and I'm attracting miserable people, how am I then doing justice to everyone around me and this generation, the generation we're born in? Because one thing we have at our fingertips is choice, information, knowledge. We can do whatever we want to do. And the one thing that pisses me off right now is people that say, I'm bored. And that two words would actually be banned, right? Because there is never any reason that you can say, I'm so lazy that I don't want to use my brain to think of anything. That's different.
And do you know what? If people say that, I would give them more credit for fucking that. Seriously, dude, you've just hit the nail on the head.
But it's true, isn't it?
Listen,
you're not bored. You're not lazy and you don't want to think. That's it.
Well, this is, you know, like you said as well, it's just, I kind of think, like you said, we've got everything at our fingertips, but sometimes I kind of think, sometimes having too much of something as well is a bad thing as well, you know. And yeah, it's just
too much of it's like chocolates in a sweet shop, right? You go in now for a chocolate and you just think, you know, I want.
I don't know, dude, that chocolate. There are going to be many of people that may argue with that. So maybe not a box of chocolate, but let's you
know, whatever it is, right? So let's say you go in for something, and now instead of that 2 choices, you got 500 choices, right? So you want to buy a quinoa. And that quinoa, you say, I want to buy this one. And then you realize there's black quinoa, there's yellow quinoa, there's Bolivian quinoa, there's Peruvian one, there's British one. You're like, I want quinoa, bro. Do you know what I mean? And now
that's like getting a simple cup of coffee.
Mate, that's not possible. It's like I went Costa. I don't really drink so much coffee. But when I went to Costa, I was like, you know, I just want, you know, like a milky coffee. I didn't know what it's called. You're like,
what is that?
Milky, right? And she's like, we got this, we got that, we got that. That's it. No, it's like milk and coffee. I don't know what you even call it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, and do you like it this? And where do you want your beans from? How do you want them ground? I said, I don't know any of that, bro.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy. I mean, I think the scary thing is what's to come.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know, for the generation that are following us and the generation after that and stuff. I think that's the really scary thing, because I look at my nieces and nephews, you know, and I'm just like, wow, these guys are just like, they're just on a different level. Just to watch them, like, I've got a 2-year-old like nephew. I mean, the guy's literally just started walking now. He can't speak at the moment. He babbles, but you know what? Put an iPad in his hand. He knows what he's doing. I'm just like, oh my shit, that's kind of scary for me. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I think this generation and kids are kind of having something wrong that we had. That we, you know, that kind of self-discovery, that kind of playing and learning, and just instead of having, you know, we were using this, we kind of went off into our own world and stuff, and that's where I spent most of my time.
We created our own world, right?
Absolutely, man. I mean, you know, but now it's like you don't have to create anything. Just look at this like a mindless zombie, and like it's scary.
It's like, you know, like we talked before. I felt that we were allowed to grow organically. You know. Slowly mature, you know, slowly adapting, learning, because all we had, like you said, we had 3 or 4 channels. The information we had was school and the people around us, and that's it. Everything was learned from that. So therefore, our growth was only, you know, how we were meant to grow. And then you've now got Fertilized on steroids that these kids are on, right? You know, it's like my son. My son was doing his homework on Photoshop. Right? So he said to me, Dad, I want to make this volcano poster. So I said, why don't you do a volcano drawing? And I go, no, can you show me this? So I showed him literally, I'm not lying hard, for 3 minutes. I showed him what a layer is, how to pick a photo off the internet, put it on, and show him how. He goes on himself now. Himself, Dad, okay, I put this layer on, and I put this mask on it, and then I did this, and I did that. I'm like, you're 9 years old. You're 9 years old. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I learned at 18 and I struggled. The kid is 9 years old and he's picking this up, you know? And he's telling me, Dad, so behind me we fit like a projector and all that. And his mind is so into it that he'll be like, so Dad, if we press this button and we change its setting on the skybox, that gives a sound like that and a picture like this, and we switch it off on this one and we can do it on that one. I'm like, man, we're like, and just because, you know, that curiosity.
Yeah.
Have a curiosity. Now, everyone has, like, my daughter is not interested at all, right? Like, she likes painting.
Well, she's not a techno.
No, she's techno nothing. She's more.
Oh, good.
She's more, you know, painting, you know, like creative calligraphy. She's doing the calligraphy thing online at the moment. She likes stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So her brain is there. So you put her in front of the Skype, she goes, I just want it to work. I want to press one button and it works, just like my wife, right? But my son is like, no, okay, so do this, pull this wire out, do this, put this in. She goes, shut up. Just do it for me and just let me watch my TV.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I like seeing both those energies around, because all I think is my job as a parent is just let them have these opportunities. Just whatever you want to try, just do. Because something's going to stick. It's just once you've been exposed to it, right?
I mean, it will sit, and you know, like I see where you're coming from, but I don't know, man. I mean, I think watching kids that are really sort of, with the technology and stuff, and just really sort of tech savvy and stuff like that, which I think is great. Are their mind, is that generation, do they have something or some part of their brain that's a little bit more geared towards that or something? I don't know, or is the technology such that it kind of, where we didn't have it so much in our younger years, but whereas, would we have come out the same had we had those back then as well?
But like it's like it's all through humanity. Humans have always built tools, right? So cavemen built, spears and things like that to kill, to help them. And then when I see this is just now a new tool for us, because we've not grown up with it, because we've sort of adapted to it in later years. They've started their life with it, right? So for them, they're using the tool with the way they understand and they know. So rather than, we can still use our eyes like our parents use their eyes to try and guide us. And my dad would be like, you need to buy a house, you need to get married. And now those things don't serve me anymore. I don't, those conversations I never have with my kids. They know, you're with someone, that's fine. You want to get married, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine as well. Those, because we moved on, right? And it's almost like I'm having a conversation with them saying, switch that iPad off, go and read a book, go and read. And it's like, am I then using the same analogy my parents used because that's all they knew? And my kids, when they grow up, or when they then grow, the next generation, they can use the same conversation and their kids have moved on again.
I mean, you probably are, like you said, looking back and thinking, oh, am I doing what my parents did and stuff? But yes, you may be to some extent, but I think we're a lot more sort of conscious and mindful about how you interact with your children and stuff. And, you're not going to be so kind of, like our parents, bless them, they didn't have everything, all the opportunities we've had and stuff. So, we've kind of come from a simpler time and stuff and grown into this, crazy world that we're in now and stuff. So we've kind of had the best of both worlds and stuff. But for me, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw anybody writing with a pen. Do you know what I mean? And I think for me, I know it sounds crazy, dude. And the funny thing is, people are going to be like, there's going to be a generation that are going to think, well, why do I need to write and stuff? I can do it all. But you're missing the bigger picture and stuff. Like, to pick this up and to have that skill to write with, it's lost, I think. And just those simple little things, going to a library, picking out a book, picking the books up, holding something like that, as opposed to, I've got it on my Kindle and stuff, but having something that's physically there, for me, it just serves more of a purpose than something that I'm just going through. It's just one in a million on my thingy, to bang, I can put it down,
It's almost like we've gone to, it's almost like, thank you, next generation, isn't it? It's almost like, that's done, move on. That's done. Rather than actually saying,
I think for me, they're kind of like, it's the microwave generation. This is, it's like, now, I don't want to wait. Come on, now. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, right, okay.
Swipe right generation, yeah?
Swipe right, swipe left, swipe any fucking way, other than just, other than swipe hard work and take my time and do all this. It's like, well, what are you in a hurry for? What do you need quick speed for? Why do you need to do? And it's just madness. And it's just, people, but like I said, it's, they're a product of their generation and stuff. Yeah. So who might kind of say this, yes, no, whatever you.
Well, what do you know, like sort of something about you? So what do you think inspires you today?
What inspires me today? Wow, what inspires me? I think just the constant sort of, I don't know, for me, what inspires me would be, wow, that's a, well, don't give me inspiration.
What sparks you up? Do you know when you feel energy, you feel alive? Maybe something you read, maybe something you watch, maybe some listen, or maybe something you do that makes you feel like, what, this is me. This is how I feel.
I don't know, for me, I know it sounds a little, I don't know, it may be a little bit kind of, it might be a bit masochistic maybe, I don't know, but for me, what inspires me, or kind of gets me kind of going is when I kind of feel that sense of I'm out of my depth and I'm drowning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, if I'm around things and I'm doing them particularly well, or I'm firing on all four cylinders and things are going amazing and stuff, of course your natural thing is like, oh my God, I'm
buzzing.
You know, I'm buzzing, which don't get me wrong, I do that and stuff, but once that initial high of getting there is gone, I'm kind of like, well, actually, hold on a second. I'm now kind of feeling things are mediocre around me and stuff. And I kind of go, right, okay, I need to go back to that void and I need to jump off again.
Yeah.
And not until I jump off and I'm kind of like feeling way out of my depth and like, okay, how am I going to get over this? Or how am I going to get to that point where I'm just absolutely smashing this and stuff? So that for me is what kind of inspires me.
You know, it's funny you say that because, you know, I go running a lot. That served me for a lot of the time when I've been through hard times. It serves my body, it serves my mind, right? But the times I like to run is when it's winter and it's cold and it's like minus temperatures, and I go out and this is like at 5:30 in the morning, so it's dark, it's cold, and there's no one around, and I've just literally get my hoodie up, no music, no technology, nothing, and I just go out, and it's almost like it is so cold, but it's almost like that's what makes me feel alive. This one tells me that you're here, bro, and this is humanity. It's almost like me against nature, and I'm just head down, and like you see those Rocky movies where he's just like,
yeah.
And it's like that tells me that life is here. Here we are, deep down and fucking dirty, and you are buzzing in this minus 10-degree run. And when I get back, my brain is almost like someone's wired me into some kind of energy source that I can't even explain to anyone. And when I tell people this, they think, you're fucking crazy, man. Just go out when it's nice and warm. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that is too comfortable. It's when I feel on the edge of almost like this is going to hurt so much that I have to do it. I feel that this is real.
Well, I think, like you said, you know, I mean, that what you've said is like something that resonates with me massively. And it's like, I've been like that for, I don't know, maybe the last sort of, Jesus Christ, 15 odd years and stuff. And it's just progressively still, you know, it just kind of morphs from that. But I mean, to go through life just kind of thinking that, hey, this is amazing. I'm great at what I do. Fucking, and it's like, how do you know what you're really capable of unless you're going to kind of jump off? Don't just stand there and kind of go, oh, fuck. But how are you going to know what you're really capable of? Which is what a lot of people do. They need that safety net. They kind of need that kind of thing. And like you said, you know, it's not until you're pushing yourself into those places that we don't want to go visit, because that's not taught to us. We're not taught that, hold on a second, yes, this is one half of your life, it's all great, it's success, it's adulation, it's the like me's, it's the whatever your stuff. But that other part, we don't want to address that. We're going to kind of leave that because that's uncomfortable. That's where you don't really want to go and stuff. And, you know, it's a little bit risky, it's the unknown, you're not going to, but it's like, well, no, it's like, it needs to be a bit of both and stuff. But for me, like I said, for the last at least 10, 15 years, life has been on that side.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's not until when you're there and you're like, fuck me, shit. Like you said, something just fires in you and you're just like, and it won't make sense unless you've stepped into that or unless you're prepared to do that. But for anybody who's on this side where it's all hey, sunshine, to them it's going to be like, that's just crazy. Well, that just, it's like, why do you want to, you know, I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to attempt to kind of do that.
So, you know, talking about sort of being on the dark side of your being, you know, you've got your light side and your dark side, right? So are there any specific times that you can think about that you're willing to share that you've been through sort of like trauma or pain or hurt, which looking back now at the time was painful, you know, at time it could have been, you know, life ending, but now you look back and you think, you know what, that was probably one of the best times the best things to happen to me because it shaped who I am and how I think today.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, we all go through, I guess we all have our trials and tribulations, and, you know, it's just part and parcel of life and stuff. But, I mean, wow, yeah. I mean, there were some real shitty times that I went through and stuff. And I guess, I mean, one of them that really comes to mind would be, I mean, I was super kind of fit and like super kind of sporty and everything before I left to go to London. So like sports was just, you know, I would eat, sleep, breathe shit sports all the time. But it wasn't until I went to London and then came across everything else that the world has to offer and more that sports took a back burner, and it was all about, hey, I'm here, and all this. And for want of a better word, I neglected my health so much that I didn't even know at the time that I had pneumonia on my lung. And I remember one day just all of a sudden just curling up in pain and just kind of feeling something like stabbing in my left side. I just thought it was just some real severe case of, I don't know, indigestion or something like that. And then I don't know how, I managed to call a friend of mine and says, dude, you need to come and take me to hospital. And he thought I was joking. He was another DJ of mine. He thought I was joking. He was like, yeah, whatever, put the phone down. And I'm like, holy fuck, I'm here like cringing, like in pain. And then called another mate of mine. She took me to hospital. And then I remember when they checked us out and stuff, and the doctors were like, you've got pneumonia on your lung. I went, what? And they were like, yeah, you need to come into hospital. We need to admit you into hospital now. So I remember going into hospital and stuff and staying there. And then it got to a point where I couldn't even breathe. They had to put pipes into my nose to help me breathe and stuff. And it was just, I mean, that experience, it was kind of, yeah. I mean, for me, I don't know, did I have a near-death experience? But I remember thinking, lying there in bed, just so vividly, it was like, okay, shit, I can't go now because I'm going to leave my family. No, they need me, my friends.
It's not my time, right?
I remember thinking that so vividly, and I woke up screaming my lungs out about 2, 3 in the morning, and then just realized, okay, it was just a dream and stuff, but it kind of really, I guess it really did something that just really kind of stuck with me and what have you.
How do things change for you after that, just going through that?
I mean, for me, then I remember leaving hospital, and then my partner at the time, we were living together. We had a place in Hackney, and so we had our own place and whatever and stuff. I remember, and things didn't work out for the best and whatever and stuff. And I remember I sort of coming back from work and then coming back to this place, like pretty much sort of like, what was it, rock bottom? I don't know. It was a real shit time. Like, there was no food in the cupboards. My health was shit. Like, I went for a jog around the park. I'm not joking about it. I got 2 minutes into the jog and fucking I was seeing stars and everything. And I remember coming back and then just laying on the bed. I couldn't even finish and just sitting there like, me and my partner had finished. My job was shitty and stuff. There were days where I couldn't even eat for like a day or two. It was like that kind of bad. And I just remember sitting there thinking, shit, I have to do something about it. This is not, it's not what I'm about. It's like, I'm not going to kind of let this get the better of me and stuff like that. But yeah, that was, for me, I remember going to that dark place, whether it was voluntarily or involuntary or not. But for me, like looking back now, I'm just like, wow, that was such a massive learning thing. And yeah, would things be how they are now had I not gone there? Probably not. I don't know. But I do, yeah. I guess when things are really sort of, when things were compared to what they were back then, but when things look a little bit bleak now, I'm like, actually, they're not. They're not that bleak.
Yeah.
It's just me. I'm kind of feeding into that. It's self-perpetuating to do it, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Yeah. I've been there, when it's kind of been shitty.
Well, if we now we're getting to this end of the conversation, and like I said, Harj, I to you for hours on lots and lots of subjects. So, you know,
wow, Jesus Christ, is that a time already?
We're going to do this again. No worry. Now, like I said, I'm building a studio so we can do this face to face in a few months. So yeah, when this all craziness finishes. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to lift the whole conversation up again, right? So we're now at the end of your life. Okay, so you know you're 150 years old. You've done everything you want to do, and life has been awesome. You know, you've been to all the dark places you want to go to. You've been to the light places you want to be to. And now you're in that middle ground. You're surrounded by the people that you want to be around you. You've done everything you want to do, and now it's you don't have enough energy to actually speak, but you have a pen and a paper to write down 3 words that have served you. And you hope those practice of those 3 words for the people around you will help them. What do you think for you those 3 words would be?
Well, for me, funnily enough, I was thinking, right, I remember when you sent me that question, I was like, okay, what am I going to say here? What am I going to say here? But for me, 3 words that really resonate with me was, funnily enough, I got them from, or I remember a boxer telling me these. This guy, he was his name was what's his name? Trevor McKenzie. He was like a semi-professional boxer and stuff. And for me, I'm just like, it pretty much rounds it up. It's like he said there could be 3 Ds: dedication, determination, and discipline. And if you've got those 3, literally nothing will stop you. You know, they all kind of work synergistically with one another, whatever you want to call. But that's my 3 words that I would say that I live and kind of die by, and always kind of go: dedication, determination, discipline, and nothing will stop you.
Yeah. And it's similar to, the 3 words that always spring to mind when anyone asks me is patience, focus, and discipline. And again, they err on the same thing in terms of something's going to take time, let them take time.
Exactly.
Have a focus, work towards something, have an idea, but don't set yourself a path and a journey. Just say, I'm heading towards this direction, and have the discipline to work on it every day, every month, every year, because by having that patience and that discipline together, you'll get to wherever you want to get to. And that's, I've lived by that. I live by that every day. My superpower being patience, because I know everything with patience happens. Everyone seems to be in a rush these days, but we know, we got a long life ahead, small in the universal picture, but a long life ahead in terms of ourselves. So it's how we fill our time with the things that serve us and the things that serve the things around us. So that I fully agree with you. So I'm not going to, question that. And the last thing, which will resonate with you again, is I've sourced a mic. And that mic is plugged into 7.58 billion people in this world right now. Okay, it's connected. Everyone can hear you. Everyone's awake. There's no language barrier. Everyone understands the words you're saying. So all I can afford you is 30 seconds, because this shit's costing me a lot of money, right? So those 30 seconds, I'm going to hand that mic over to you, and I want to share your words of wisdom with the world.
Wow. Okay. Well, hopefully, this time that we've had here now, sort of spending with our loved ones, that people are taking the time to reassess and reevaluate certain aspects of their life, and sort of questioning things a little bit more as well. I mean, it's a healthy thing to do. Don't just take everything that is said, even from friends, family, on face value. Question everything, because when you question everything, that's the only way that we're going to kind of expand our consciousness and whatever you want to call it and stuff. But yeah, that would be my take home message is, is question everything.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you so much for your time, Harj. I know you're on a mad trip all the time. So even having you sat down for an hour probably is crazy for you. So thank you. The conversations we've started to have, served me, and we're going to continue to have these online and offline as well. So thank you for turning up. Thank you for the journey that you've had, that you've shared with the people around you. Thank you for the sharing you've had today. It's been honest. It's been open. And that's the only way I think that we can all live as people. Because the more honest and open we are, we all realize everyone's in their own struggle. And when everyone's in their own struggle, all we can do is try and help, because we are all on a path that we're all trying to grow. We're all trying to be the best version of ourselves. And whether we get there or not is not the point. It's enjoying the journey along the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up some of your details on the show notes. If anyone wants to connect with Harj, it will be there. I'm sure he puts a lot of stuff, especially on food and about nutrition, about veganism. I know he's into that. We didn't get into that today. We were on another conversation, but that's the journey he's on, and going through the micronutrients of ingredients and how they serve you. So make sure you follow him, make sure you check him out. I'm sure if you send him a question, he'll be more than happy to answer. So thank you again for your time, Harj.
Well, you're welcome. Seriously.
No worries at all, man. So just to end this podcast, remember, big energy leads to big thinking. Big thinking leads to big ideas. Big ideas lead to big actions, and big actions lead to a big life. So keep thinking big. Until next time, see you. Thank you.
A lot of our serotonin, which is a happy hormone, and the dopamine, that is another happy hormone, is actually made in the gut as well. So by nourishing the gut, you're nourishing your brain, you're supporting your liver, you're supporting your kidneys, and so your body can really work in harmony and be the best that it can be.